An order from the Prime Minister of India has forced tens of thousands of men into slavery, sterilization. This decision has sent millions of people to prison. This is a shocking event. It really happened in India. There's even a moment. It's a very sensitive topic for Indian men. For almost half a century. Former Prime Minister of India Indira Gandhi. Why did you finally do that? The story goes back to 1929. At Anand Bhavan Manor in India. Little Indira grew up under the political obsession of the clan. Her father Nero was the leader of the Indian independence movement. In that manner, the kids have fun playing hide and seek, but Indira has always been the underdog. You are ignored by adults, ridiculed by his peers. When you visit your mother, who is being fathered, detention in the room on the grounds of tuberculosis. She thinks her mother is the source of the disease. Indira scares you as a witch. The one you resisted, that she and her mother were ugly and stupid. They don't even look like people from this family. Those harsh words planted in my soul. Immature of Indira, resilient seeds. Indira went to her father and asked him to kick her out of the house. But her father was helpless. Remember that this house belongs to my grandfather. Only you have the right to decide. Indira went to her grandfather to complain. I hope he sends you away. You don't answer directly. It tells a story about power. Indraprastha, Grandpa says. It's the seed of the Indra in the great Indian epic. At the center of the battle for the crown. He told Indra. It's a small thing that power is the dominant power. The ruler, the greatest is the one who can overcome obstacles. Big afraid. Who won the great wars. It's not small battles. These words etched into the young mind of Indira. To be Kim Nam for the rest of her life. When mature, Indira married pharaohs. But this marriage is full of arguments and contradictions. She often travels in the middle of the capital, daily and family manner, to support my political career. This made her husband very unhappy. In an argument, he sadly pointed out, I never really considered you my husband. This marriage is just an excuse to avenge my family. Because of their attitude towards my mother. Loyalty divided. Turn of Indira, between family and politics, was sowing the seeds for 7 early failures in her marriage. But the division itself, this helped her grow up quickly. In the political world. 1947 India finally gains independence. Her father, Nero, becomes the first Prime Minister of India. In the 1962 war. Indira, he had a different leadership style than his father. When Nero considered abandoning the state of Assam, Indira has openly protested to the front line. Stop people from evacuating. Her resolute voice. It's given hope to people in panic. This bold move has succeeded. Assam preserved the reputation of Indira. That's why it echoes. Foreign reporters praised her bravery. While her father showed complicated emotions. I've become very stubborn. I told you not to go to Assam and you still go to Kerala. You didn't listen to me either. I collude with extremists. Overthrow the government. There. I'm worried about you. I get your encouragement. Take my encouragement. You used to learn from me, and now you want to teach me. This conversation is over. The transfer of power between the father and the son, girl, signals the growing political influence of Indira. 1964 Nero died. Indian politics fell into short-lived chaos. Lan Bahadur Sachi as the next prime minister. But not long after, Prime Minister Sachi has mysteriously died after signing a peace agreement with Pakistan. Under the consideration of senior leaders in the party. Indira nominated as prime minister candidate. A lot of people think her personality is temperamental, easy to control. 1966 Indira sworn in as Prime Minister of India. I, Indira Gandhi, in the name of Almighty God, I swear to be consistent, trust and loyalty to the Constitution. She became the first female Prime Minister of India. Her voice echoed. Clear hope in the halls of Parliament. But the laughter behind it was clear. No less than that dumb girl who dishonored her father. Usurping your position. She's not the real Prime Minister. This is family politics. Remember what I said, she didn't even last 2 months. Many of the senior members of the party despised her. That you're just a puppet that's easily manipulated. A leader in the party doesn't even hide. Now we just need a big face. Representing our party. And behind that, we can run the government. But they underestimated their determination and wisdom. Indira, since that moment, the mute girl is despised. He was determined to prove it. Let everyone see that. You're not an AI puppet. It's India's iron leader of the future. In the spring of 1971, South Asia is facing a humanitarian crisis. Extreme East Pakistan. It's Bangladesh now in armed conflict. Pakistan Army, to carry out massacres, large scale for civilians. About 10 million refugees have fled to India. The Indian government is under tremendous pressure. Indira begins to seek international support. They are also considering direct military intervention. Indira first tried diplomatic measures. She went to Paris to try to convince French leaders. Support India's position. In the first meeting, the French government refused her request. Ma'am, I know what you mean. But please understand our circumstances. France is a member of NATO. If the US wants to go to war with India, we have to support America. I'm afraid I can't help you face rejection. Indira didn't flinch. At the dinner party, she subtly asked the waiter, pack a small piece of cake. He said, bring it back to India. When the French leader asked in surprise, what does such a small piece of cake mean? Indira smiled in reply, I will tell my people that. In this moment of crisis, France sent this cake as a symbol of friendship. Between us, diplomatic pressure. This ingenuity eventually led the French. Given If Pakistan is the one waging war with India, France will remain neutral. This is the first time Indira's diplomatic talent to be shown. However, the meeting with US President Nixon. It's the most difficult time of my career. Her diplomacy. Nixon kept her waiting all day in the White House to meet him. Then publicly humiliated her. When it comes to whether the United States can support Pakistan, Nixon arrogantly said, I believe you may have mistakenly believed that India. We can win the war against Pakistan. But that's not as simple as doing. I'm not wearing a sari. He listed the details of American military power, including millions of soldiers, thousands of fighter jets, hundreds of tanks, and millions of machine guns. He threatened that if India goes to war with Pakistan, they will face the full force of the US military. In the face of this blatant threat, Indira has shown incredible bravery and ingenuity. She looked Nixon in the eye. Calm but sharp response. First of all, for a man, I can't even keep my shirt for a few hours in the morning. Don't assume that wearing saris is easy. It's as complicated as your relationship with the Soviet Union. But the secret is, put it back when it doesn't listen. Then let's talk about the 7 failures of the United States on the battlefield of Vietnam. They're 10 times smaller than India. They don't have tanks, submarine machine guns, even planes. But they are defeating your troops right in their homeland. What is helping them? Their courage. You have weapons, we have courage, that's enough. These words surprised Nick. A female leader, he challenged the US president directly. So Indira, she made it clear that she would not give in. Before any pressure, India will act in its own interest. March 12, 1971, Pakistan. To launch an airstrike. Surprise in India. To destroy India's air bases. Indira anticipated this possibility. The Indian army is fully prepared. Right after the airstrike, she immediately authorized the Indian army to launch a full-scale counterattack. When Nixon heard that he was furiously threatening Indira, if you don't reconsider your decision, the fleet will arrive within 13 days. Mr. President, there's nothing to reconsider. In fact, India's defense ministry will wait for his troops, US warships, to arrive in eastern Pakistan after 13 days. Ma'am, I just need 12.5 days. It's past noon for 12.5 days. I and my army will definitely meet Pakistan. Give her 12.5 days. This war has become a turning point in Indira's political career. Military. India fought with remarkable speed and efficiency, amazingly quick to occupy strategic positions. When the US aircraft carrier USS Enterprise arrived on the scene, Indian soldiers are waiting on the shore. Not to fight. It's to welcome them with a wreath. The war is over. Pakistani army surrenders in eastern Dhaka. Pakistan gained independence and became Bangladesh. Wide LAN victory news across India. People celebrating in the streets, chanting the name Indira. People started calling her Mother India. She is the goddess of birth, nourish and destroy. The opposition is forced to admit that Indira's tough stance and steadfast leadership, that brought a huge geopolitical victory for India. She's no longer a mute girl who's doubted of her abilities. It's a strong leader. The guardian god of the people of India. Indira is India. India is Indira. But in the sound of victory, Indira made a decision that many people couldn't understand. In 1972, she signed the Simla Pact with the president of Pakistan. Returned to prison soldiers of war and occupied areas. People who only, I think this is a sign of weakness. A pundit pointed out that, I don't understand why she did that. After such a historic victory, she can totally take back occupied Kashmir. But she's become weak before God. The Simla Agreement was a major setback for India. This decision also reflects the pragmatism of Indira seems to understand that political success, it's really not just about winning in the war. It's about building lasting peace. But the diplomatic calculus is complicated. This is often not understood in the context of politics. Noisy. That this planted the seeds for political storms. In the future, victory in the war has brought a great reputation to Indira. But problems in the water quickly build up. The 1973 global oil crisis has caused inflation in India to skyrocket, exacerbating the economic difficulties. The opposition is increasingly accusing the government. Indira corruption. 1974, a strike of railway workers. Nationwide explosion in India. Shouted by a union leader of workers. The bus. This will not run until we get paid. These trains are scrubbing, trampling on the rights of our workers. I'd rather go to prison than work for the railroad. The whole country's traffic is paralyzed. Indira government, faced with a serious challenge, to divert the public's attention. Indira was ordered to conduct India's first nuclear test. Codename Buddha Smile. This decision caused an international stir, temporarily raised national pride in the country. But the economic and political crisis continues. Opposition leader Jai Prakash Narayan has launched a movement. The nation demands political reform. When people's discontent is growing, Indira is facing a bigger crisis. Allahabad High Court to adjudicate allegations of misconduct her left in the 1971 election. The court eventually ruled that Indira, there was misconduct in the election, to declare her victory null and void, and banned her from running for 6 years. This is an insult. This is an unprecedented insult to a prime minister. Indira forced to defend herself in court. But her performance in court raised 7 hopes. When asked about complex legal issues, she claims that it's written in legal language. It's complicated. I don't understand. You don't understand the legal language. SAO. This response made the opposing lawyer ridicule. She doesn't understand legal language. The crisis in court. This has seriously damaged the reputation of Indira. Opposition demands she resign immediately. That the top leaders of the party also began to discuss about replacing leadership. In this critical moment, Indira's son is Sanjay Gandhi. I firmly support my mother in staying in power. Mom, this is a political assassination for you. This is a huge conspiracy. To see Indira forced to abdicate, alone to face the ridicule of the Indian cabinet. Sanjay angrily stormed out loud. Only the injustice of the elders in the cabinet. They want to take back the power of India. But the reality is cruel. Except Sanjay 01 AI in cabinet sided with grandma. This moment, Indira, feels so ridiculous. To protect their rights, you fought the whole world in exchange for peace for them. But all of this, it's now a sword that strikes you. At the same time, the opposition again began to celebrate its victory. Cheers of joy enter the Thai Indira. More and more irony. If fate has predestined injustice for itself, by learning how to turn the tide yourself, before the election actually begins, everything still seems to have a chance to turn the tide. And the first step, she's working with Sanjay, taking advantage of power left to stifle democracy, placing the whole country in a state of emergency. The declaration of a state of emergency that marked a dark period of Indian democracy. India turned into an open prison overnight. Opposition leaders were arrested en masse. The media is heavily censored. All voices critical of the government are silenced. Quick pressure. Civil liberties are severely restricted. Police raid the houses of opposition leaders late at night, take them out and lock them up. Waiting for them is massive ROI spikes and torture in prison. Son Grandma Sanjay, even if there is no official position, wielded enormous power again. Become an underground power figure. In times of emergency, San Jose has implemented a series of controversial policies, including a daily urban renovation plan and a nationwide mandatory sterilization program. What's going on? The neighborhood residents. This rat has encroached on the government's roads. It's hard to get through here. It stinks like shit. This is the daily capital of India. It's got to be as shiny as London and Manhattan. Not like this. Edit the daily page. San Jose coldly ordered bulldozers into the slums. Despite the cry and protests of the people. In the chaos, a boy named Ashok was run over by a bulldozer. The boy's mother hugged his body and cried bitterly, Mr. Sanjay, 10,000 homes we built for the homeless is not enough at SAO. Sir, there are millions of people there, not thousands of people. Fucking. That's right, Indians breed like rabbits. What can the government do? We can't force men to be sterilized. Inadvertent speakers who listen deliberately. A bold idea that popped into Sanjay's head. Instead of letting the poor, with this large number that exists in the world, it reduces the overall quality of life in India. Solve the problem directly from the root. Slowing down India's fertility rate. With the support of Sanjay, the removal of the male genitals, quickly put on the agenda. This proposal, of course, it was met with the disapproval of all Indian men. Millions of people took to the streets to protest that Sanjay had also anticipated the scene. So he took out the tissue. Rewards and punishment. Those who voluntarily cut will be rewarded. Those who do not want to be punished. Strictly the end. Male genital organ monitoring officially begins. Hurry up, the car is coming. To solve this fertility problem as soon as possible, the entire Indian army has been mobilized. They take men who don't obey orders. On the operating table, even immature boys. Nor escape. For a short time, the screams, interspersed with painful moans echoing across India. The scale of the surgery was too large. Method, cutting out tradition would take a lot of manpower, physical and financial resources. So, at Sanjay's suggestion, some areas without anesthesia directly switched to the one-knife method. And improper operation. This has caused death for many men. Face the command and orders of Sanjay. Indira closed one eye, open and underground eye. Yes, let this mass murder take place. In this massive campaign, 8 million men were put on the sterilization table. Voices against Indira are also growing louder. Her old friend Pupin warned her. Has detained more than 1 million people. The whole country is scared. LAN-wide rumors. Some things are real and some things are fake. People's hatred for her is on the rise. The tearing of teeth in Indira's lap is becoming more and more pronounced. She began to hallucinate frequently. Looking at his scary image in the mirror. She asked a servant who was in the mirror. That's her picture. This scene symbolizes Indira. You start to face your conscience. She began to understand the damage, harm that an emergency, for her country and herself. Medical negligence has killed thousands of people. I feel like I'm riding on the back of an animal. Aggressive and terrifying. If I try to get down now, it will devour me. Indira confided in a close friend. Official G to Krishnamurti. In a casual meeting. I've given you an important warning. When you can see through the flattery, you should start looking for the truth. That, tear inside and advice from outside. Finally promoted, Indira, make a shocking decision. She suddenly announced the lifting of the state of emergency. All the political prisoners and holding general elections. Within 2 months. This decision made everyone. Even her son Sanjay was surprised. I want to lift the emergency. But at SAO also announced the election. If we had an election, we would have lost 7. Win or lose, the people will decide. The election results are exactly as Sanjay predicted. March 1977, Indira and the Congress Party suffer a 7-year defeat. History of the Janata Opposition Party. Under the leadership of Morarji Desai. Become the new Prime Minister, Indira herself. He also lost his seat in his constituency, and her son Sanjay also 7 defeat. In Athens, the transfer of power is complete. A political era seems to be over. It's stupid. What I've been doing for the last 2 years. Just as stupid. What you do can be stupid. But this is political suicide. After the opposition party came to power, they immediately avenged Indira. She was arrested and faced several charges. This includes abuse of power. In times of emergency, the police came to her house, get an arrest warrant, and take the former prime minister away. Face this fate. Indira, calmly speaking in the main, there is only one thing wrong with being defeated. When the police car drove her to the prison, the crowd used to shout her name. Now throw stones and curse at her. Indira Gandhi, who used to be strong, he is now a prisoner awaiting trial. Her political career seems to have come to an end. And for most politicians, 7 such failures, it will mark the end of my career. But Indira Gandhi was not an ordinary politician. In times of political decline, she showed resilience and adaptability. Extraordinary. December 1978, after months in Indira prison, released. After getting out of prison, you face a difficult task. Is to rebuild his political career. She didn't have time to drown in pity, self, or regret. That immediately began to reconnect with people. She founded her own political party. The party split from the old Congress. Although initially there were only a few supporters, her loyalty but her determination did not wane. One day, 1978, Indira learned of a massacre targeting low-class villagers in Belchi village. Bangbiha, she immediately decided to go there herself. This decision will be a turning point in the political revival. Grandma, when Grandma tries to Belchi, government officials have refused. Let your car through. Claimed that there were forest elephants and the road was closed. Face this obstacle, Indira not give up. Instead, she made an amazing decision. She decided to ride the elephant to Belchi. When she finally got to Belchi, the villagers gathered around her. This village has suffered a tragedy. Many low-class villagers were killed. The survivors are filled with fear and grief. Hunger and poverty are evident here. A woman in the village reached out her hand to her. Mrs. Indira Gandhi, please help us. People in the village, I had nothing to eat for days. Our village has suffered from hunger. It's been terrible for 2 years. Mom, I've saved some, I'll get it. Indira does not carry any reporters or witch photographer. This is not a promotional campaign. She sits in the crowd, listening to the villagers talk about their pain and their hardship. When an old woman gave her a piece of bread, small is probably all she has. Indira is very emotional. This is not enough for you to eat. If he eats the other half, that's enough for me. She turned to a mother who had lost her son and said softly, I can't bring your son back. But I can share your pain and give you my love. This moment has touched to the hearts of all those present. Indira is no longer the arrogant prime minister. It's a companion. Share the pain with ordinary people. An elderly man stood up, his voice trembling with emotion. Mrs. Indira Gandhi, you didn't get the vote, and our respect. But she came all the way here because of us. And the people we elected, they don't care about us. I swear in the name of God, we'd rather be hungry. India must also return to the center of power. This sentence, LAN as fast as spark in the crowd of villagers. They shouted, we'd rather be hungry. India must also return to the center of power. A trip to Belchi. This has become a step, a turning point in the path of political revival. Of Indira no speech, USA no words. Promised exaggeration, it's just a simple human act. Riding elephants through the danger zone to meet people who are socially disabled. Forgotten. This has completely changed the way the public look at you. Fast story LAN across the country. The words only, extortion and accusation. In the past, it's replaced by a new story. Indira may have made a mistake, but she really cares about the poorest people in India. At the same time, the ruling party faces internal conflicts. Serious coalition formed by many opposition parties began to divide. Tensions between the prime minister and the deputy prime minister. The deputy prime minister became prime minister, but his government is also unstable. July 1979, Prime Minister Sharon announces resignation. India is again in a state of political instability. Support for Indira. It's starting to rise all over the country. She seized this opportunity to conduct electoral campaigns across the country. Let's choose a government, have enough courage to make difficult decisions for people. A strong government. Long live Indira, you talk. The crowd gathered and received a standing ovation. Reply to 1980 Congress Party. Do Indira Gandhi. Leadership won a landslide victory in the general election. Across the country, the woman who was considered to have finished her career, his political life after only 3 years, he was once again sworn in as prime minister. To complete one of the political revivals. It's the most admired thing in history. Her voice echoed loudly at the inauguration. However, fate quickly brings personal tragedy for Indira. June 23, 1980, her youngest son, Sanjay, died in a plane show accident. Sanjay always likes to fly and regularly perform aerobatics in the air. That morning, he's flying a small airplane to practice aerobatics. You've made a series of dangerous moves. But suddenly the plane lost control and started crashing. It was eventually destroyed and he died. This news comes to tie Indira, when everyone expected her to cry. But Indira said, when my father died, I didn't cry. I have too many responsibilities. Watch your child burn alive. After I die, don't pour my bones into the Ganges River. I'm afraid of deep rivers. Let's solve for my bones in the Himalayas. I like high mountains. During the second Prime Minister's term, Indira faced new challenges. Especially the movement. Separation is getting worse in Punjab. The chain leaders and the followers they've hoarded, weapons inside the Golden Temple, challenging the power of government. Violent incidents have erupted across northern India. That leaves Indira no choice. In addition to acting decisively, 1984 she ordered the Green SAO campaign. Send the army to the Golden Temple to destroy the armed elements. Due to the large number of chained people, and there's a lot of connections in the political world, and the army of extremists. He even offered a $100,000 reward to assassinate Indira. And Indira, he also seems to have foreseen his own end. But in her heart she never regretted. Because I poured all my passion and love. Even if you die later. She believed that every drop, the blood in her body will nourish India. It makes India stronger. Ma'am, you've got a lot of people chained up as bodyguards. After the campaign after birth, we can't take that risk anymore. This is why I kicked them out of Mrs. Mushroom's bodyguard team. To keep me safe. I can't separate the chained person from the rest of the Indian population. End of story. Indira was unfortunately assassinated by chained people, and the killers are the guards. I stood guard for you. During the 15, Indira fell to the ground, hit 31 shots. The blood is flowing. October 31st, 1984, Indira Gandhi. Indian steel woman dies at the age of 56. Give her bones as she expected when she was alive. Was one in the Himalayas. Indira Gandhi's life was full of contradictions. You've been a defender of democracy, was once the biggest threat to it. You care about the poor. They have implemented damaging policies. You are strong and weak. It's cruel and compassionate. She used to say, India is Indira. Indira is Indian. This just shows your confidence. Just reflects reality. There's a deep connection between her and the destiny of the nation. From the perspective of history, Indira, as an important driver of modernization. India is a warning. About the dangers of concentration, power in a system, democracy, she created a military victory, the greatest in Indian history. At the same time, leading to democracy's darkest hour. She liberated Bangladesh, but suppression of the freedom of his own country. From a dumb girl who was ignored by an adult and bullied by her aunt. To the Iron Leader. We can have equal dialogue with world powers. From the authoritarian Kai in times of emergency. To politicians, can humbly face 7 electoral defeats. Send and rise, back from a mother to a leader of the nation. The life of Indira Gandhi. It's the intersection of conflict and power. It's a story of power and sacrifice. Power can turn a patriot into a tyrant. Not patriotism and pride. Pressure people only have a fragile name, SAO. This is the story of Indira Gandhi. Has left us with profound reflections. Black White Ghost, Lady Indira Gandhi, a legendary woman. I've spent my whole life explaining power, patriotism and sacrifice. Her story, it shows us that history, not simply defined anyone who's a hero or a villain. On the road, power is not pure black and white. There's just a lot of gray matter. It's in those gray areas we find the most authentic legends, the most humane and shocking,